Good morning. Welcome to your daily Hope Booster video. It is Easter Sunday today. Finally nice and bright and sunshiny here today. And I know that a lot of you are celebrating in your own ways, in your own homes around the world today. And that really brought to mind perspective for me. I was speaking with my family this morning and two really cool perspective things came to mind. So my youngest sister and her family were supposed to be camping this weekend. They live in Vancouver and it is beautiful there, 16 degrees or some wonderful craziness. And for them, they were supposed to go camping. But they couldn't, obviously, because they have to stay home. So they changed perspective, and instead of going camping, they brought camping to them, and they set up their tent on their rooftop patio of their apartment building that they live in, and they got a little fireplace and a fire pit, and they took themselves and their daughter and they slept in this tent and they camped, and they did Easter egg hunts this morning, and my niece loved it, and my sister and her husband loved it, and it was just that little bit of perspective, that little bit of change to really make Easter morning special for them. And then my other sister has 3 kids, and her oldest daughter took a picture of a rabbit, of a bunny rabbit, and showed her brother this morning that that was the Easter bunny. By changing perspective from a stuffy, she could bring a little bit of Easter magic to her little brother, and I just thought that beyond the fact that that was so thoughtful for her, I just thought it was really cool to change perspective, that if you just have a stuffy and you can look at it in another way, that really helps to change perspective for them and for you. Especially during this time of the pandemic and all the things that are going on, I think perspective is really, really important to remember. And some of the things that have been working for me is to change how I feel or how I look at things like statistics. And so for example, when I hear the daily statistics of, the number of cases in my city, the number of cases in my province, I hear the number of new infections and the number of new deaths, but then I also focus on the number of new recoveries, which is hugely exponentially increasing, which is very hopeful to me. Perspective is a huge part of hope, is a huge part of believing that the future is going to be better than today, and focusing on recovery instead of on the number of new infections is a change in perspective for me. Another thing that I try to focus on is when we're talking about the economics of this pandemic, which is absolutely horrible and is affecting so many people, and the long-term effects of this are going to be outrageous. We don't even know what that looks like yet. But to change perspective, although there are tons of people out of work, there are tons of people not out of work. A hugely greater percentage of people that are not out of work. And those people are out there doing their thing and moving our economy forward and keeping us safe and prepared, and in groceries and distributing all the things that we need. They are making decisions, they are making plans, they are executing on strategy, business as usual for all of those people, and we can't underestimate the power of that. And just changing the perspective to not focus on how many people are out of work, but also to focus on the people that are still working and still working to move our economy and our lives forward, so that the future will be better than it is today. So I have a couple of tips that I wanted to talk about to help you focus on changing perspective. And the first one is to focus on what you get to do as opposed to what you don't get to do. I'm a runner, and reading running magazines is one of the ways I stay inspired. And I remember reading a story of this girl, this teenager. I think maybe she was in her early 20s, and she'd had a physical crisis. She'd had a medical crisis, and all she could think about while she was in the hospital was how she couldn't run, how this was, whatever was going on for her physically meant that she couldn't run, and running was such a huge, important part of her life. So when she got out of the hospital and she recovered, she changed her perspective, and every time she was on a run and she hit that plateau, she felt like she couldn't make it to the next street light. Her thoughts were, I get to run. I get to do this thing. Instead of what she couldn't do, especially when she was in the hospital, and what she was thinking like she just couldn't possibly put one foot in front of the other, she just changed her perspective to what she gets to do. So she gets to run. I get to stay home. I don't have to stay home. I get to stay home to protect me and my family. I get to work from home. Or if you're out in the community, you get to bring money home to your family. You get to serve your community. I get to eat with my family. That's important. It's that stuff that we get to do in spite of all of these things that can help change our perspective. Another thing that's really important and something that I found has really helped me is smiling. You know these videos, I'm always smiling. Sometimes it's a fake smile to begin with, and as I get through the video because I'm nervous or I don't know what to say, our bodies can't actually tell if it's a real smile or a fake smile until it's a real smile. In fact, there is an entire yoga practice called laughing yoga based on the idea that laughing and smiling will change your perspective. It'll help you to feel better. Dr. Katari has founded this practice of yoga where you just go around and smile and laugh at each other, and eventually the smiles and laughs become real, and your endorphins get boosted and your energy bars get raised and you feel so good, and those people around you feel so good. As we know, happiness is contagious. They actually did a study, the Framingham Heart Study, that followed, it's a a study that follows people over time. And when they did this study, they found that people who were happy spread their happiness to 3 other people at the minimum, right? The coronavirus spreads to 2 or 3 other people. So happiness spreads faster and greater than the virus. So why wouldn't we want to spread more happiness? Happiness clusters also contribute to happiness over time. So people who were in happy clusters kept that happiness and kept it for a longer period of time. So not only did they spread it, but they spread it for a longer period of time. They were able to maintain that happiness for a longer period of time. So if you can smile and laugh and, Google Dr. Katari and laughter yoga if you need some prompts, you can help to keep that happiness and stay happier longer, even if you have to fake it at the beginning. That's okay, that's a thing, and it will still do the same thing. Your body will still respond in the same way until you can feel that actual joy and happiness and that smile. Few options to change your perspective this morning. The sunshine is changing my perspective this morning. The weather people said there was going to be snow. I thought that was going to be snow all day. We only had an hour of snow, and now it's sunshiny, and that has changed my perspective for my day. So I'm going to get on with it. Enjoy the rest of your Easter Sunday, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.